Hello everybody, this is Mr. Bell and you're watching my YouTube channel, Mr. Bell's English Lessons. Today's video is for the students preparing their A-levels in technology, so for the Terminal STi2D3. And today's video will focus on The Social Network, the movie that you had to watch. So this movie, you had to watch it while doing this activity, completing this worksheet that was 4 pages long, where you needed to focus on different things, and so you need to take it in front of you. I hope you have watched the film and you did the activity before in order to complete your notes and correct maybe a few things that you have missed. The thing is, you do not have to recopy everything, which means the correction, but you have to complete your notes. You can, of course, by the side, take the full correction of a question if you're not sure whether what you said is correct or not, but please do not erase your work. It's worth comparing what you have written basically and the correction you have here. So are you ready? This is what we're going to focus on right now. So have a look at the film review taken from IMDb, introduce it and focus on the motto. Motto is a synonym for slogan. So here you have this film review from the website IMDb. You have the poster here. The motto, the slogan of the film is right there. You have the title, the date of release. You have the rating of the film, so you can know whether it's a good or a bad film. You've got the director, the person who did the film, the writers. And you've got also the writer from the book, because the film is an adaptation of a book, basically, talking about young billionaires. And you have also the different actors, okay? And right there, you've got the storyline part telling you what the story of this movie is about. So it is a very useful website if you want to check things on a film, to get information on it before watching it. Right, so this document is the film review. Is an extract from IMDb, Internet Movie Database, of the movie The Social Network, realized by David Fincher in 2010. Basically, the movie tells the story of Mark Zuckerberg, who was still a student at Harvard by 2004 and 2003 too, and shows how he created the world's biggest social network called Facebook. The motto on the movie poster, "You don't get to 500 million friends without making a few enemies," refers to the friend concept on Facebook, or in other words, the users. So you had, by 2010, almost or a bit more than 500 million users. The enemies represent the people Mark Zuckerberg turned his back at, the 2 brothers who sued him, and the co-founder who was squeezed out of the business. And this is what we can know or guess from the film, thanks to the film review. So let's move on. The introduction, that was until the 21st minute of the film. Focus on the beginning of the film. In a few lines, tell what is happening and why. What does Mark decide to do? So here at the beginning of the movie, Mark Zuckerberg is at the restaurant with his girlfriend, Erica Albright. They have a long and strange conversation about final clubs, intelligence. You've got some answers to the previous questions coming after a new question is asked, so it is very difficult to follow, and we can hardly follow the conversation, especially if you've watched the movie in English. It results in Eric breaking up with Mark, telling him he's an asshole. Both leave, and Mark goes straight in his dorm, in his room, and in front of his computer. He is furious and drunk, and he decides to create a website called FaceMash while blogging at the same time and insulting his now ex-girlfriend. He's making fun of the size of his brows. So it's a website to compare girls on the campus and say who is the most beautiful. For this, he hacks several online Facebooks from Harvard houses, and with the help of an algorithm given by his friend Eduardo, the site is launched and sent to several people. It soon becomes a success, so you have up to 22,000 connections in a couple of hours, and the traffic of the website makes the servers of Harvard crush. So here, after this, Mark then has to face a jury because of his website. He has a 6-month academic probation, and he must publicly apologize for the harm done to girls' students. And his reputation at the same time as a computer genius is done. So this is what happens, basically. What you need to know is that this part is purely fiction. There is no real person named Erica Albright who was Mark Zuckerberg's girlfriend. So this was added to the film. Then you needed to focus on the main characters. Overall, you have 6 main characters. So while watching the movie, you had to write as many information as you could about these people. So their name, of course, the personality, what they're doing in the film, so any elements that could be interesting. The first of all, of course, is Mark Zuckerberg, that is played by Jesse Eisenberg in the film. What we know about Mark Zuckerberg in this movie is that he is a student in computer engineering and programming at Harvard. He's intelligent and obsessed with final clubs, and he has difficulties dealing with social relationships. Then what he's doing in the film? Well, he's the main character. So first he created FaceMash, then he worked on Harvard Connection edu, so later ConnectU, and finally he invented and launched the Facebook, later renamed Facebook, and he is its CEO, which means Chief Executive Officer, or in other words, the president, the boss of Facebook. So this is only what I have written. There are many other things we can write about him, but we're going to have some further information later on in the film. I could have written too that he's going to be sued in the movie. There was a trial between him and many people because of what he has done with the Facebook. You can stop, of course, at any moment this video, or pause it, that is much better, in order to take the information that is missing. So let's move on to the second character. So the second one is Eduardo Saverin. He is Mark Zuckerberg's best friend. He's played here by Andrew Garfield, that you could have seen in the movie called Spider-Man. So Eduardo Saverin is a student in economy and business at Harvard. He's intelligent, though he's a bit naive, and he is very sociable. He is a member of the Phoenix Final Club. And he first helped Mark in the movie by giving him the algorithm to create FaceMash. Then he invested money on Facebook, and he was appointed co-founder and CFO, which means Chief Financial Officer. So you can say that it is the number 2 in the company. And then right after comes Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. So they are played by Armie Hammer and Josh Pence, though the face of Armie Hammer was used on both characters in order to create twin people. So this is just special effects that were created or made for the film. So Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss are students in economy and arts at Harvard. They are both intelligent, sporty. Cameron is more tempered, whereas Tyler is more impulsive. They are members of the Porcelian Final Club, and they come from a rich family. They practice rowing at a high level, very high level, almost professional. And in the film, they had the idea to create a social network for students at Harvard called the Harvard Connection.edu, and they hired Mark for it. As he stole the idea, they decided to sue him for intellectual property theft. So this is one of the main reasons why we talk about them in the movie, but there are also some other elements to be said or to be mentioned. Next one is Divya Narendra. He's played by Max Minghella. He is a student in applied mathematics. He's intelligent and easily upset. He's the member of the Porcelain Final Club. He is the son of 2 immigrant doctors from India. Well, he comes from a rich family. And he's associated with his best friends, the Winklevoss twins, to create the harvardconnection.edu social network. He hired Mark to help them and later asked the twin brothers to sue him as he had discovered the existence of Facebook, or the Facebook. Next and last main character is Shawn Parker. He's played by Justin Timberlake in the movie. He's an entrepreneur. He is intelligent but paranoid, and he likes to show off. He's the creator and the founder of Napster, an application to listen to free music. He's addicted to drugs, especially cocaine and girls, younger girls than him. He has got asthma, and he discovered the existence of the Facebook and wanted to find and meet Mark Zuckerberg to take part in the business. He suggested to drop the to simply name the website Facebook. So this is what we can say about the main characters. So now let's move on to the next questions. So tell how the Facebook was created. So Mark Zuckerberg was approached by the Winklevoss twins to work as a programmer on the project called Harvard Connection. He decided to use this idea to create his own site called the Facebook. He asked his friend Eduardo for money and he worked on it for 42 days only. Then came the idea of the personal status, which is an essential part of the basic website. So knowing who is going out with who are in couple, who are single, and so on. And finally, he launched a website sending the address to lots of people, and mainly people from the Phoenix Club in which Eduardo was in. The troubles and the beginning of success. Who discovers the existence of a Facebook, and what do they decide to do? So Divya Narendra discovers the existence of the Facebook, and he warns the Winklevoss twins. They first try to deal with it peacefully, but they finally decide to sue Mark Zuckerberg for having stolen their ideas. Then, whose conference do Mark and Eduardo attend? What happens when they are back in their room? So they attend Bill Gates' conference. They receive a letter from the Winklevoss twins' lawyer to say they'll have to face them during a trial, but also that they must close the website in the meantime. So it is only but a warning to close the website, otherwise they'll sue them, or they'll sue at least Mark Zuckerberg for it. Who discovers the Facebook while in Stanford? Who is he and what does he want to do? So Shawn Parker discovers the Facebook while in Stanford. He's the creator of Napster and he wants to meet Mark Zuckerberg to talk business with him because he's an entrepreneur, as we have said, and he sees the potential of the company. The expansion of the social network. So who does he meet and what does Mark decide to do? So Mark meets Shawn Parker and Mark decides to work with him and let him in the business. The name The Facebook was changed into Facebook and the team moved to California because you are in the Silicon Valley and this is the place to be if you want to deal with new technologies. Where does Facebook expand? So Facebook had already expanded to other universities like Yale, Columbia and Stanford, and it also expanded in countries like Europe, or continents like Europe, and on other continents, for example in England with the universities of Cambridge or Oxford. What about Facebook economically speaking? How much does it receive? And what about the restructuration of the company concerning the shares? So thanks to Shawn Parker, Mark Zuckerberg is able to meet several people who can finance his project, and he receives a $500,000 investment from Peter Thiel. And concerning the shares, the company has more investors, and so the shares are redistributed. Mark Zuckerberg has now 51% instead of the 70% of the beginning. Eduardo Saverin has now 34.4% instead of the 30%. So he has a bit more. Dustin Moskovitz, the third person who created the Facebook at the very beginning, so he is a friend of Mark Zuckerberg and Eduardo Saverin, has 6.81%. Shawn Parker has 6.47%. And Peter Thiel, the new investor, has 7% of the company. So this is how the shares are distributed. Who does Mark betray? How? Well, Mark betrays Eduardo by diluting his shares down to 0.03% from the original 34.4%, as he has let in 24 million new investors, and also he has withdrawn his name from the masthead. So here, Mark has let, through Peter Thiel and Shawn Parker, new investors, and the only shares to be affected, to be diluted, were those of Eduardo. So what happens just next? Eduardo leaves the headquarters of Facebook by saying he'll sue Mark for the whole company's value, and not just for the 34.4%. And right after, Facebook celebrates its first million users. So the atmosphere is quite joyful because of this celebration, but less joyful because of the problems that Mark will have to face with his old friend, Eduardo. In the conclusion, what happens at the end of the film? So Mark is alone with an intern that he's helping the lawyers during the trial, and he's connected on Facebook, so he's talking a bit with her, and then she leaves. He asks Erica, his ex-girlfriend, as a friend on Facebook, and he refreshes the page. Okay, so you can see that he's still obsessed by his former girlfriend. By the end of the film, you have different figures. Like on Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, they received a settlement of $65 million, and they signed a non-disclosure agreement. So they receive a big amount of money, and they sign a non-disclosure agreement, which that means that they mustn't speak about the trial, they mustn't speak about this story again. Otherwise, if they do so, they need to reimburse the 65 million, and Mark Zuckerberg can sue them. And also, what we can say is that they rowed for the US Olympic team in Beijing, and they placed 6th. So they went to the Olympic Games, and they finished 6th. Eduardo Saverin, he received an unknown settlement, so we don't know how much he got as for money, but you can guess that it is a very big number because he was the co-founder. So possibly hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more. And his name has been restored to the Facebook masthead as a co-founder. Facebook, so that was in 2010 when the movie was released. Facebook had 500 million members in 207 countries. It was by then valued at $25 billion, so in just the course of 6 years. In 2019, so these were the very last figures, Facebook has 2.5 billion active users, so five times more than it was in 2010 in the world, and its value was estimated at $104 billion, so 4 times the value of 2010. That is enormous. As for Mark Zuckerberg, so he was by then the youngest billionaire in the world, and by 2019 his worth was estimated at $68.2 billion, so making him the 5th richest person in the world in his early 30s. So you can see that, well, it is a huge success, though the story shows you the very bad aspect, so to say, of this character. Right. So, as always, check your Pronote for more information. You will be able to find new work, possibly, things that you will have to give me back, like a final task, and also new virtual classes that we may have. So I hope you are following this seriously. I hope that you have done the work too. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you're all doing okay, always following the different lessons that you have, trying to do the best you can and still being serious. Well, keep safe, and see you around. You'll get some news from me very soon. Bye bye.